What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Luke's Mind Power. I have an amazing guest with me. Her name is Mina Marsh, and she is a mental health and performance coach, gifted intuitive advisor, and a passionate writer. Originally from Finland, she has been in the coaching space since 2007. She works with athletes, CEOs, salespeople, and teens, using her experience to help, inspire, and guide her clients towards their goals and dreams. She has worked with the top Finnish hockey team players and also is a very active Instagram personality. I'm always seeing her go live and connected with more individuals, sharing her wisdom and making a difference. As of today, she also has 1,111 posts on her Instagram. And for me, that's a huge sign from the universe that we are meant to be doing this interview and being connected. So please help me in welcoming Mina Marsh. How are you, Mina?
I'm good. This feels good and right to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely.
So you've been in this coaching space for a while now. It's since 2007.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of experience with working with a lot of individuals. Let's go. We'll digress from your big story, but let's go to the world and to the clients and to the people that you've inspired and guided. What have been some of the major keys that you're finding with your work and with individuals and the world that we are having? What kind of problems are we having the most that we're struggling with into getting our life to that ebullient, vibrant, positive, happy place? What is it?
I definitely think that people lack courage. People are afraid to search within for their answers and to build the kind of life that would be where they would get their potential out. But at least in Finland, I find that people are very afraid of what the neighbor might say about them. People are afraid of being judged, and people are so eager to search for validation from other people when they really, I think, should ask themselves what makes them happy and what is more important to them than something else, and to just really follow their own path. And I am often told that I'm so brave and I have a lot of courage, but I found that since I'm not afraid of death, I'm really passionate about making the most of my life, even though it is far from easy. And I think that my old and new clients, they often sense that I really mean business when I say that I'm out to help them. And it is, I find that it's not my place to tell them what is the right decision for them. It is, but I can guide them to find their own answers. And I'm also highly intuitive, and I noticed that since I'm not resisting my intuition anymore, I'm able to help my clients even better now. And many of my clients are athletes, and I have learned, especially from the professional hockey players, about what it means to be determined and what it means to do as they are told. Because often, if I see a hockey player, for example, they really listen to me because they are used to listening to their head coach. And when I tell them how they can start to figure out their own heads, their minds, and learn new ways of thinking, they really listen to me. They take the instructions and the guidelines in really well. And after that, they shake my hand and they put their cap in their head and they say, okay, and they leave and they do exactly what I have told them to do. They practice, and that's why they get results, and they are so determined even though they can have a lot of fears. And I'm very grateful for having that kind of role models.
Absolutely. It's powerful stuff. A lot of the information that you've just given us, talking about that you're not afraid of death. A lot of
Mhm.
people are, and that
Mhm.
brings to surface that, you know, people are living in scarcity and in a state of fear,
Yeah.
insecurity. And so not taking action on their dreams, not taking action on themselves, not trusting themselves, not believing in themselves because they've got that negative energy within them that they haven't released, unblock themselves so that they can actually be free from judgment, free from worrying about what other people think, free from you know, all these external things that don't really make you who you are or help you become who you're supposed to be. So I want to go into that area where
Okay.
you are living a life where you're not afraid to die. And
Yeah.
if you told me to go and do bungee jumping, that is probably not bungee jumping, but jumping, skydiving. Skydiving is probably my biggest fear, I think,
Mhm.
because it's the possibility of your parachute won't open and you might die, right? But there are other things out there that I will do, you know, just to push myself, push my limits.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so how do you get to that place where you're not afraid and you're in that fearless state of mind? What happened to you and what did you go through your life experience that has allowed you to now save yourself? You know, you can only help others because you've helped yourself. And
Yeah.
that's why I do what I do, because I decided to come back to myself and heal myself and help myself, get myself out of that dark hole. And now I can help others. So, yeah, take us there, Mina.
Yeah. Well, I had a very scary, lonely childhood. I'm an only child, and my dark hole was my room, the room where I hid pretty much for almost 19 years. And of course, when you are growing up and there are things happening that you do not understand, because you possibly you can't even understand how this world works yet. So sometimes it's hard to say what is healthy or unhealthy, normal or bad, and you're just trying to keep breathing. And I remember for many years how I was just looking forward to becoming an adult and escaping. And I tried to kill myself when I was 18. And I remember then being in the hospital when I realized that since I survived my suicide attempt, I was probably meant to live. And I had this sense about a higher power and feeling that there is still there's a reason for me living. And I often ask my clients that if they were 90 and on their deathbeds, would they be happy about the choices they have made? And I often think about dying and death because it always gives me perspective about what can still be done about my life. What is there for me? What can I choose? How can I help people? And like you said, I can help people if I help myself. And usually it's a journey within, and that leads to outer choices. If I'm clear and at peace with myself, I'm not always that, but sometimes I am. And the more peace I feel with myself, the smarter and more brave my choices are. And I grew up in the middle of physical, emotional abuse, and my father lacked healthy sexual boundaries. I noticed that this brings up a lot of emotions still. It was very traumatizing, and I've had an enormous will to survive and to make the most out of my life. I'm very gutsy. My grandmother came from Russia, and she survived the Second World War. And I always feel that I have the same gutsiness as she did. And I think that, like Eckhart Tolle says, suffering is here to teach us important lessons. And I think that this world is not designed to make us happy. This world is designed to bring us a lot of adversity, a lot of turmoil, and a lot of difficult experiences so that we can grow. And that process can be a really enlightening experience. I am not by any means enlightened yet, but I have my moments. And I noticed that the more I face my fears, the better I feel, the easier it is to breathe when my heart opens up, and when I do things that scare me, like having this talk with you, and not speaking my mother language. This was so nerve-wracking, but right away when you asked me to be a guest in your show, I knew immediately that I had to do it, because we have to start from somewhere.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to be a beginner. And yeah, it does take courage. You know, not everyone's ready to share their story or open their hearts and be vulnerable and stuff like that. And so, and again, you know, not everyone is ready to be on video and to do this kind of format of communication, you know, so, and that's okay. So for anyone listening, if you've been offered to be on a podcast and you've rejected it, don't pressure yourself. You know, it's not for everyone, but it's a good platform to be able to share inspiration and stories for you to listen in, and wherever or whichever way you navigate your life in whatever direction is completely your decision, and it's a beautiful one too. You know, so again, this is about not comparing yourself to anyone. You know, your journey is completely different, and completely just own that. But use whatever tools and information you can, what we have access to with social media, with the internet, with YouTube, with Google, and whatever else, to live your best life. It's here. It's ignorance is a choice, and it's up to you. If you want to stay low vibe and you want to just succumb to what you think you know, what you believe you know, because that's how you were raised and that's what you were taught by your parents, well, you know, don't complain when you don't get the outcome that you are seeking, you know. But Mina, you know, what you've come through is incredible, and I feel the courage. I feel the energy within the space that we're communicating right now, you know, and I thank you for sharing that, because that is what you're sharing is so powerful. There's so much pain there, you know, and I have to ask you, when was the point where you consciously realized that, hang on a second, this environment, or me being exposed to or acting on this kind of behavior with my parents is wrong? And it's, when was that moment that something clicked and you realized that this is wrong, this is not right?
Well, it helped me a lot that I have relatives in California. And when I was 19, I went to California. I was supposed to stay there for 6 months, but I ended up marrying an American man and staying there for 5 years. And there I met a lot of new agey people, people who were talking about healing. Codependency was a big topic at that time, and Louise Hay had these bestseller books about how to change your mind and positive thinking. And I also met a lot of new people who openly talked about their past addictions or their traumatizing experiences. And that was something new to me, that people were not hiding something for years or decades. And also some of my new friends there started to comment that I was always so worried about everything, and I didn't like what I was hearing. That was not my self image. I didn't want to be the kind of person who was worrying all the time about whatever might go wrong. But then when I heard it from so many people, I started realizing that yes, it was true. I was still like that scared little child who was constantly looking out for threats or danger, trying to protect myself. And I think it was around that time in my early 20s when I started realizing that um, that what took place in my childhood home was not okay, and that nobody really protected me, even though I needed protection. But now I think that it all happened for a reason. I happen to think that we choose our parents. That is my definite belief. But I couldn't believe that for 20 or 30 years. But now I see that it all had a meaning, because I have really struggled with forgiveness, and even with the meaning of forgiveness. What does it mean? And I have learned that, at least for me, forgiveness is a process, and it is not about becoming best friends with people who have abused you, but it is the way of healing. It is the way of compassion and letting go of what happened. And I also think that everything that I have gone through can be turned out to something that helps me to help others. Because if I have survived without becoming bitter and cynical and hateful, then maybe anyone can have that same option. But it doesn't happen at the snap of your fingers. It takes a lot of it takes a lot of healing and time sometimes. And I remember a journalist who interviewed me once said that, hey, so tell me, how do you recover from really traumatizing experiences, and how do you heal? And I said that I don't expect to be healed totally, completely before I die. I think that it's enough if I do my best as I move more towards the experience of being in light. Do you kind of know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. Absolutely.
Yeah, that we should not just aim for that goal of being enlightened or completely healed. It's a process, and that's wonderful. And even though you have been broken, or you are broken, or whatever you're struggling with, um, you can always become more present here and now, and find so many things to be grateful for, and so many reasons for feeling joy. So it's not either or.
Yeah, look, one thing that I do know, which is really powerful with what you're saying, especially about forgiveness and understanding how it is healing for you interpersonally. It's not about being best friends or building a relationship with someone who's hurt you or whatever, but to use your parents or your father, for example, um, he, I strongly believe, and through my own personal experiences as well, that he is a direct reflection of his own living human experience that he has gone through, and he doesn't. He can only project what he has within himself, and so if he hasn't been raised in a specific way, with love and compassion and that positive energy and that care and attentiveness to you as his child, to give you that connection and that love. He's only giving what he was taught, and so this is powerful for you to come back and say it's not your fault. It's not
Yeah.
even your dad's fault. It's
Yeah.
That's what he went through, and he's been programmed and conditioned that way to now take these actions towards you because he doesn't know how to do anything the right way.
Yeah.
He's been taught. And if you think about history and you think about generational trauma and the wars, and if we go back 100 years, some people are still unconscious and are still living with that trauma.
Yeah.
They're still living
Yeah.
with that closed mind, with those same beliefs, and it's oppressive, and it's negative. And you basically are coming on here today and saying it stops with me.
Yeah.
And this is your enlightening moment where you actually are awake to being consciously moving in your direction so that you're healing yourself, right? Because otherwise you're going to continue on the same path, and you're feeling it within yourself, within your soul, that is not the right path. And how can you
Yeah.
continue to repeat that cycle? And so that is the same thing as what I've had to experience as well. I was
Yeah.
lacking, youngest of 4 children, 3 older sisters. My parents did the best that they could,
Yeah.
and I love them dearly. I don't judge them. They did the best that they could, right? And they only project towards me what they've experienced in their life, right? So whatever they went through, they gave that to me. And so raising 4 children is not easy either. And so I lacked love. I lacked connection. I lacked confidence. I lacked a lot. And so that has now me coming to that awareness, realizing I have to reparent myself. I have to give attention to that inner child. I have to give attention to that little boy that felt insecure, that didn't have that love inside of himself, that was always afraid. And why? And my explanation is because I didn't get that enough attention. I didn't, and that's why I see, this can go into a conversation of conscious parenting, because it's so important for you to bring a child into this world and to be able to have that time and give that love and that attention to that child. But in today's society, that is very difficult because the world controls us so well that we have to work, we have to pay bills, life is expensive. And so that forces us to not have as much time to be, and time, and not just time, but energy to spend with your children. It's more than just having getting married and just popping out 4 kids and going, hey, we've got a family. Because this is something that I've experienced personally, and I'm on the journey of healing myself. And I'm still going through it. And like you said, it's a lifelong process, and I believe it, but it's about bringing that awareness to it. And it's about actually tuning into your emotions, to your feelings, to your reactiveness, to the way that you are, and start asking yourself those questions as to why you do certain things,
Mm-hmm. Um, I think I definitely understand where my father is coming from, because I know a lot about his background.
Mm.
But I noticed that during the years of recovery, I noticed that it was even harder, much harder for me to forgive my mother for not protecting me, for being a part of the abuse that came from my father. That was, as a woman and as a mother, it was so hard for me to understand. But I think that not everyone survives well their experiences. Like you said, there are different levels of consciousness, and from that perspective I can understand it. But I see many adult people subjecting themselves to the same abuses and to the same traumatizing situations over and over and again, because they think that they need to forgive, and because those are their parents or those are their whatever, that they need to be constantly um, dealing with those people or spending time with them. I think that people carry so much guilt for cutting ties with people who are related to them. You know what I mean? I hope that,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
I hope that
you feel
people would
guilty.
start, yeah, I hope that people would start to care about themselves so much and to feel such self-love that they they'd be able to see whose company is good and healthy for them,
Mm,
who supports them, who helps them through healing. Nobody is perfect. I am not perfect, my friends are not perfect, and that is okay. But if there are symptoms of ongoing abuse, I think that it's so good and healthy for you to stand up for yourself and to cut ties if needed, and to be firm about your healing process. But of course, everyone's situation, everyone's journey is different. But um, I don't know much about my parents nowadays, and I think it has been a lifesaver for me, because I don't want to hear about my father's sexual comments anymore. I don't want to see the twisted game that is taking place in their relationship. I don't want to be subjected to the hatred. So, but that has been my choice. And I don't know what the future brings, but I know that whatever I have experienced and whatever I am learning all the time is something that makes me a really, really great, talented coach for many people.
mm.
And it's not an easy road, but it has been a very meaningful joyride. And we referred to death a little earlier. Of course, I don't want to feel a lot of physical pain when I die, but it happens how it happens when it happens. But I really look forward to dying someday. I don't feel suicidal. I don't want to die yet. I feel like I still want to keep on doing things and experiencing this beautiful world, even though it's challenging. But I think that dying will feel um, like a huge relief, like a reward after a job well done. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to feel when I die that, oh, yes, I did my best. I did
Yes.
my best, and that is enough.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You want to, get to your 80s or 90s or however old you are and really be able to look back and go, man, I killed it. I did my best. I did
Yeah.
everything that I believed was right for me, and I couldn't have done anything more. but not getting to that, or getting to that state and then saying, man, you know what, I could have done so much more. I could have
Yeah.
done this, I could have done that. And that's not where I'm gonna,
Yeah.
that's not how I'm gonna live at all, and that's not how I'm living. It is taking risks and really trusting yourself, believing in yourself, and going for it, in whatever you need to do. But talking about suicide, I got to ask you, because I mean, I've had suicidal thoughts before while I was using drugs, and I never took action on it, anything like that. But I had thoughts like that. What is the state of mind that you were in that you actually took action on that and tried to? Yeah.
Well, I had gone, I was 18 and I had gone to spend a night at my boyfriend's place. It was the first time when I really had the courage to make my own decision like that. And my mother said that if I spend a night elsewhere, when I come home, my father will beat me up and throw me out of the home. And I remember waking up the next morning at my boyfriend's place, and I started going through the scenario of being beaten up by my father and being thrown out of the house. And as a young person, I came to the conclusion that it is too much for me to handle, that I can't take it anymore. And so I thought about my best friend, how she would cry. And I thought about my dear dog, and I knew that the dog would be okay eventually. And I really thought it over. And then I took an overdose of pills and was taken to a hospital and all that. And I was really giving up at that point. And but I think that if I had been meant to die, then it would have happened. But I remember the next day, from my hospital bed, I could see a blue sky and white clouds, the kind that I can see at the moment. And I just kind of felt and really knew that there was something out there for me. And it wasn't all easy from that point on. There were a lot of difficulties, but I think that from that moment on, I have had a really strong sense of a higher power, and I'm connected to that higher power, and sometimes it speaks through me. And I look forward to shedding the rest of the burdens and just seeing what life has in store for me.
Thank you, Mina.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You definitely are here for a bigger purpose, and going through something like that, again, everything happens for a reason. And yeah, it could have been time for you to go, but your spirit is too powerful. And so hence you're sitting with me virtually,
Mhm.
having an amazing conversation, allowing your story and your energy and your power to be present and to help other people who are out there who may be going through something similar. So yeah, thank you, because it's incredible, it's courageous. You're inspiring the hell out of me. I'm just sitting here going, wow, man.
Oh,
Like,
oh. I,
if
I've been able to feel your heart throughout this conversation. I can really feel your heart, because that has enabled me to talk about these things like this for the first time in my life.
Mm,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome, man. It's beautiful. It's really enlightening for myself to continue to move forward in my own personal growth journey and living my dreams, my purpose, in terms of living in a fearless state of mind, because that is something that I work towards breaking through all the time, because it is the fear and the insecurities, or the uncertain or the uncomfortable experience that a lot of us are afraid to move towards, and hence we stay in that comfort zone, because we don't think we're good enough, or there is that conversation in our minds that something might pop up in your mind and say, hey man, why don't you go for that job, or why don't you start your own business, or why don't you leave that relationship, or whatever it is that's in that thought. But then you've got that other voice that says, man, just stay, it's comfortable, it's okay, right? And so your story is really powerful in that sense, where having that fearless and no regrets kind of life, because you've been through all this pain, right? And again, it goes back to understanding that sometimes people in their lives have not experienced enough pain yet for them to take action, and that's what it is. They haven't felt it enough. And so again, this is the beautiful technology and platform we have to plant the seeds, to give people access to the possibilities that something may spark or trigger that part of your mind to say, you know what, it's time.
Right on.
Mina, thank you so much for this. It's been amazing. It's a blessing to connect with you. It's a blessing to learn from you. You're super inspiring, and I cannot wait to continue to support you, cheer for you, and stay connected with you. Can you please share with us where people can actually find you?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram. I'm there as Minna Marsh. On Facebook, I'm as mental coach Minna Marsh, and my website is minnamarsh.com.
Amazing, Mina. One final question before we go. What is your definition of loving yourself?
What is the definition of loving yourself? That's a hard one. That's a hard one. I would say that think about someone that you really love, and you want only the best for that person, and then turn that love towards yourself.
Yes. I love it. That's the best. Absolutely. I've said that so many times before.
Oh, okay.
Imagine that person that you love so much and you can't live without them, and you want to just hold them, and you want to be with them, and you'll die for them. You'll do anything for them.
Oh.
Make that person yourself. Mina, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.